Okay, we should be all set now.
Awesome. Thank you, Bailey. Good evening. Please join us as we salute the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, this is the state for the record that adequate notice that this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2021 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2020, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Adams.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
DeLuca.
Here.
Lembrick.
Here.
Mayor McGee.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public in any meeting. And whereas desire the governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time it conducts its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussions of the governing body at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca.
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick.
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes, and thank you, Ms. Fritzen. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment for a moment of silence, if you will, for the passing of a longtime Maplewood volunteer, Benjamin Perlmutter, who was the longtime chairperson of the Township's Economic Development Committee and also 55-year member and past president of the Unity Club of Maplewood in South Orange. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, September 21st Township Committee meeting, the first day of fall. We'll go ahead and run through the agenda. First, we'll start off with our employee spotlight. We'll be recognizing Jamie Miranda, who is on the Department of Community Services. Then we'll have our first public comment on agenda items only and limited to 3 minutes. From there, we have three ordinances. Our first ordinance is related to parking on Milburn Avenue. Our second ordinance is also related to parking and adding street between Stringfield Avenue and Laurel Avenue. And then our third and final ordinance is regarding our Community Board on Police and creating an amendment to the ordinance there. From there, we'll have reports from our departments. And he's having none this month. We'll skip that agenda item and move on to administrative reports. We'll hear from Mr. Gimes, our Township Administrator, Mr. Desiderio, our Township Attorney, and Ms. Fritzen, our Township Clerk. From there, we'll have reports from elected officials. We'll hear from Ms. Adams. Then we'll hear from Mr. DeLuca. Following Mr. DeLuca will be Mr. Lembrick. And then we'll hear from Mr. Daffis. This meeting, we have no discussion items, so we'll move quickly into our consent agenda. We have a total of 13 items on the consent agenda this evening. We have several authorizations, including the authorization for our municipal pool renovations, appropriations for storm Ida response, the refund of tax overpayments, the appointment of Delora Hall as a revenue administrative assistant, the change of title to community service officer for Joseph Amon, change of title for community service officer to Herla Lawson Reed rather. And then we also have a handful of contracts that we're awarding, including for our professional services for Memorial Park Duck Pond Bridge, professional services for the for 60 Woodland, the replacement of exterior doors, and then also for emergency repairs for 77 Durant Road, and then finally, the resolution regarding ServPro emergency work that we did in here, which we appreciated. From there, we'll have our public comment on any agenda items, and after that, we will adjourn. So without further ado, I'd like to yield the floor to Mr. Lindbergh, who will present our employee spotlight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had to relocate. I was having some Wi-Fi issues. So give me just a moment. So it is my pleasure tonight to be recognizing Jamie Miranda, who is one of our wonderful employees in the small but mighty Department of Recreation here in Maplewood. And as those of us in the township know, but many residents may not, the Recreation Department, while busy year-round, over the summer is exceptionally busy because they oversee a number of very large programs, including our community pool, as well as our kids camp and a number of other camps that are supplying activities for our youth during the summer. Want to give credit to Jamie and Mr. Walls and some of the others in that department. But we're here tonight specifically to honor Jamie. So it's my pleasure to read this resolution of recognition and appreciation. Whereas the Township of Maplewood has been fortunate to have dedicated staff committed to the mission of municipality, and whereas recognizing this employee for her commitment to the residents of our town by stepping up and addressing projects, requests, or responsibilities above and beyond, and whereas we as the Township Committee wish to extend our utmost appreciation for the work that this staff member has done to make public service an exciting and joyous experience for the residents of the Township of Maplewood, and whereas the Township Committee wishes to extend our sincere best wishes for every happiness in the future and her continued success in making the township a desirable place to work, now therefore be it resolved that the Maplewood Township Committee recognizes and appreciates the service of staff employee Jamie Miranda, Recreation Program Supervisor in the Department of Community Services, and wishes her well in all future endeavors, and further that this resolution of appreciation and support be duly recorded by the Township Committee on this 21st day of the month of September in the year 2021.
Yay, Jamie!
And I could tell a number of stories about ways that Jamie has stepped up, but I'll just tell one that really stands out. During the pandemic, I know that a number of us parents in the community were really worried that our kids were not in school, or they weren't, at least were not in school full time. They weren't getting recess in school. So at one of the Recreation Advisory Committee meetings, one or two of our members said, what would be great would be, since kids really aren't getting phys ed at school for most of the school year and aren't getting recess, aren't getting playground time organized at school because they're getting dismissed after half the day when they're even there, wouldn't it be great if the Recreation Department could just find a field and find some coaches and basically do recess and organize, tag, sports games, just the sorts of stuff that kids would do if they were in gym class or if they were on the playground. Missy and Nick and Jamie were there, and they said, sure, we'll look into it. It may not be the easiest thing to find a field or to find coaches on short notice, but sure enough, it seems, seemingly just, within days or at most weeks later, they had put together a program called Rec Recess. They had found coaches, they found field space, and they made it very affordable for our families, and without having to really do much advertising, it instantly sold out, and it was filled with happy kids and very happy parents who had a great time, and it was really provided a great recreation opportunity. And now, even with the kids back to school, we're actually continuing that program. And I know Jamie didn't do that all on her own, but Jamie was really the one who picked up that idea from the Recreation Advisory Committee and made that happen, found the space, found the coaches, and put that program together. So that's just one example of ways in which Jamie stepped up during this difficult time and really provided some light and some happiness for our youth and our families through recreation in Maplewood. So really, it's a privilege to work with Jamie in the, through the Recreation Advisory Committee, through the Recreation Department. I'm very proud of the work that she does and those of her colleagues do. And I hope that we can continue to see what she does for our youth and for our families here in Maplewood for many years to come. So thank you, Jamie.
I'd like 2 seconds.
Absolutely.
First of all, Jamie, congratulations and thank you for it's been a pleasure working with you on Rec and Human Services this year, but also I met your mother at my event on Sunday. So and she's like, do you know Jamie Miranda? I'm like, of course I know Jamie Miranda. So that was pretty funny. So she was in Summit at an event that I ran. And so give her my regards, but more congratulations and thanks for your work.
Jamie, can we get you to say a few words?
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate your kind words, and it really has been a pleasure working for the township. I love recreation. I appreciate this honor, and honestly, I'm so grateful I get to come to work where my job is most literally fun for all. It's amazing that I get to look forward to coming into work and help our community just create programs for children and adults to just get out and have fun. And I just want to thank Missy for giving me this opportunity almost 3 years ago. And thanks to her and Nick, I'm now part of this Maplewood Township team that I love. And I'm so looking forward to what lies ahead. And I thank you folks so much for the nomination and the acknowledgement.
And finally, I know Ms. Mancuso was not able to make it tonight, but we do have with us the chair of the Recreation Advisory Committee, Ms. Zeslovsky. So Ms. Barnett, would it be possible to bring her over? I know she'd like to say something to congratulate Jamie.
She's rejoining now.
Nothing like putting me on the spot, Greg. Okay.
You're very welcome.
I'm going to say this, Jamie. We did not know that this was happening, and we have a group text, and literally everyone is freaking out that they want to congratulate you and how excited they are, and that you absolutely deserve this. No one works harder than you to try to make sure that our residents, especially kids, have a good time and enjoy our recreation department, our parks, our fields, every single thing we have to offer, and we really appreciate you.
Wow, thank you so much, Heather. That means so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Jamie. And thank you all. And Mr. Mayor, I will return the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindbergh. And again, congratulations, Jamie, you're a rock star. All right, we're going to move on in our agenda. We're now on agenda item number 6, public comment on agenda items only, limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Waltz, I'll yield the floor to you.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Township Committee. We will now begin the first public comment portion of the meeting. If any meeting attendee would like to address the Township Committee on agenda items only, we will allow you 3 minutes to speak. Please use the raise your hand function, and we will transfer you over to a panelist. Would anybody like to address the Township Committee at this time? I have no takers, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Waltz. All right, well, we'll move on into our agenda. We're now on agenda item number 7. We have an ordinance on introduction.
Mayor, introduction to new ordinance number 3043-21. An ordinance to amend chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This ordinance will add Milburn Avenue to the list of streets where parking within 5 feet of a public or private driveway is prohibited.
Can I get a motion, Mr. DeLuca?
Mayor, I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on October 5th, 2021.
Second,
Ms. Fritzen, please call the roll.
Adams,
yes.
Travis,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Lundberg,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Fritzen. We're now on agenda item number 8.
Also on introduction, Mayor, introduction into ordinance number 3044-21 is an ordinance to amend chapter of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This ordinance will add Oregon Street between Springfield Avenue and Laurel Avenue to the list of streets where parking within 5 feet of a public or private driveway is prohibited.
May I get a motion, Mr. DeLuca, please? You're on mute, Mr. DeLuca.
How embarrassing. Mayor, I move and you know I love to be on mute, by the way. I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on October 5th, 2021.
Second,
Ms. Fritzen, please call the roll.
Adams,
yes.
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Lundberg,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Fritzen. We're now on agenda item number 9.
Mayor, ordinance number 3045-21, an ordinance to amend chapter ordinance number 2901-18. This ordinance will amend the ordinance creating the Maplewood Community Board of Police by creating within the Community Board of Police a subcommittee to be known as the Civilian Review Board and shall provide legal counsel for the Community Board of Police.
May I get a motion, Mr. Lindbergh?
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on October 5th, 2021.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Pappas. Ms. Fritzen, please call the roll.
Adams,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Lundberg,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Fritzen. We're now on agenda item number 10, which is reports from departments. We have no reports submitted for this meeting, so we will move on to agenda item number 11, which is administrative reports. We'll first hear from our Township Administrator, Mr. Gimes. Mr. Gimes, you have the floor.
We can't hear you.
I think you're muted.
All right. Okay, starting again. I'll be brief tonight. Just by way of update, last week, the Assistant Administrator Barnett and myself were at the New Jersey Municipal Management Association Conference. Very informative, intense 1.5-day program. We had classes about leadership, memory, personality, the pandemic lessons, Trenton issues, and budgetary issues. So it was 1.5 to 2 days, but we got a lot accomplished in those 2 days. Also, as it relates to conferences, on the week of the 4th, both of us will be attending the national conference for the International City County Management Association in Portland, Oregon. I'm on the planning committee for that conference, and we've taken all necessary steps to ensure safety and health protocols. There is a vaccination requirement to attend the conference. So we are, doing that in good order. A lot of exciting things there that I'll report on when I get back. I think one of the most exciting things is the opening speaker is Chief Carmen Best of Seattle, Washington, the first African-American police chief in Seattle, Washington. And she's a phenomenal person. I've seen some of her stuff online. So when we return from that, I will provide more of an update. Otherwise, all the items that I have on the agenda are resolution items. So if you have any questions on those now or when they come up, feel free and I will answer those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gimes. Any questions for Mr. Gimes?
Mayor, I have a question, if I may. Mr. Gimes, where are we with respect to scheduling interviews and hiring our first social worker who will be part of our crisis intervention team?
I have all of those resumes in a packet ready to go. So we can determine between us and the board who we think should be involved in those committee interviews, and we can get rolling as soon as feasible.
That's terrific. And while I have you here, one other update, if you will, with respect to our community fridge.
Mhm.
I know that the last point of contact here to make this happen is PSC&G and getting everything connected. I know the equipment, the infrastructure is in place. What's the holdup?
As you said, it's PSC&G. Everything on our end is ready to go. I know the Director Kittner has reached out to them a couple times, most recently within the last week and a half since our last meeting. So I'll follow up with him. I know he did get a response from what I understand, but I'm going to follow up with him and confirm that. But that is the last thing we're waiting on, is them to come in and do the cut.
Terrific, thank you. And if necessary, our mayor can help you in that regard in terms of reaching out to our liaison for a little nudge as necessary. So thank you. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Daffis. Any additional questions from Mr. Giles? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Giles. We'll now hear from our township attorney, Mr. Desiderio.
Mayor, I have one item. We received a request from a recipient of our affordable housing program for the town to subordinate its mortgage to a new refinance. We get these periodically. I have reviewed various documents. The township would remain in its same position, which would be the second position. Additionally, this original mortgage was dated May 31st of 2012. So as of May of 2022, it will have reached its full maturity and will be forgiven. So I just need a motion to allow the mayor to sign the subordination with regard to this mortgage.
I move it.
I'll second it.
Ms. Fritzen, please call the roll.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Lindbergh,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Fritzen, and thank you, Mr. Desiderio.
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Desiderio? Hearing none, thank you again, Mr. Desiderio. We'll now hear from our township clerk, Ms. Fritzen.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. I don't expect anybody to remember exactly these locations, but we will post them up on the website. Really, regarding Essex County has early voting sites that will take place between October 23rd and October 31st. And everything will again be posted up for Maplewood residents. But the Essex County early voting sites are located in Bloomfield, Cedar Grove, East Orange, Fairfield, West Orange, Newark, and Irvington. So, they try to get a realm of locations that would be convenient for all Essex County residents. The other item, and we'll keep going over this and posting it up as well, is the last day for voter registration for the November election is Tuesday, October 12th. And my office would be remaining open through till 9 p.m. as we always do. Again, putting that up on the website. We have a couple of large scale outdoor events coming up, 5Ks, and tomorrow I'm going to have a coordinated 2 event meetings with department personnel to find out exactly what the event planners are expecting the township to provide, and of course what we can provide for a safe atmosphere. So they're tomorrow afternoon. You've all received notification. If you're interested in attending, please do. And I'll leave this one really to Ms. Adams, but just a reminder, your next Township Committee meeting, a portion of it is a joint meeting with South Orange to discuss recycling. And Ms. Adams, I'll leave that to you, but I just wanted to remind the governing body that would be a part of our next meeting, and it's all been publicly noticed for the 2 towns. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Fritzen. Any questions for Ms. Fritzen?
Mr. Mayor, it's not so much a question, but I just wanted to give some recognition to Ms. Fritzen and also Mr. Jimes and Ms. Barnett and the whole committee that they headed up on a great employee appreciation event that they held. It was now, a week ago Friday. Many of us were able to attend that, and they did an excellent job. I think this is, at least in my memory, the best one there's been. The weather certainly helped, but I think the planning was great. The food was great. The employees really seemed to enjoy it. And I just want to give Mr. Jimes, Ms. Fritzen, and the whole committee that put together that event some kudos, really recognizing our employees and giving them the appreciation they deserve. And it was great to all be together again and be outdoors at the pool and be able to celebrate all of the work that they do for our town.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Limbrick. Bravo. All right. Are there any more questions or any statements, additional statements or questions for Ms. Fritzen? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 12, which is reports from elected officials. We'll first hear from Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. Your moment of silence tonight is the first time I heard of Ben Perlmutter's death, and I just want to send my condolences to his wife, Ruth, his daughter, Risa, and her husband, Eli. I first met Ben, I think it was basically, long story short, he was chair of the Economic Development Commission in Maplewood. And when my neighbor and I were trying to get the township to pay attention to Springfield Avenue back in 1990, 91, we were bugging them for about a year by going to Ben's meetings every month. And finally, Mayor Davenport and the rest of the township committee put Deb and I on the Economic Development Commission because we were going to the meetings anyway, and we kind of kept Springfield Avenue on the agenda and for another year after that. And Ben was always gracious and kind of followed our lead on that and was willing to move forward with a lot of the work that was at the very, very beginnings of Springfield Avenue Partnership. And I'm really sad to hear of his passing because he was just a really sweet, wonderful human being. And yeah, I'm really sad to hear that he's gone. And to Liz's or Ms. Fritzen's comment about the joint meeting, yes, we're having, that'll be the first half hour or so of our next October 5th meeting, when the South Orange Board of Trustees will join us at our Maplewood Township Committee meeting in order to openly have the presentation by actually Ben Perlmutter's daughter is on Zero Waste Associates. She's one of the consultants we've been working with. So she will be working with us and part of that presentation. And you'll get 5 or 10 minutes of information on what we've been discussing and where we're going with our recommendations to both governing bodies, and this body and the trustees will be able to ask questions of the consultant. Yeah, that's the first part of the October 5th meeting. Thank you, Mayor, for that. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. We'll now hear from Mr. DeLuca.
Thank you, Mayor. A few things. The jitneys, we started the jitneys again on Monday, September 13th. The ridership is growing, but it is still light. The DPW is looking to consolidate some of the routes, and that will occur in the next 2 weeks or so. So that is moving forward. But I think a lot of people were appreciative of the fact that we are getting the jitneys back. There's a sense of normalcy. People can rely on them. So it's all a good thing. The library. So we've talked about the devastation from the flood, but now we are moving in the stage of getting ready for construction. Today, we started moving the books out. The moving van was there. We'll be storing most of the books in storage for the next 2 years while construction is going on. The interim location at 129 Boyden Avenue, which is the former First Aid Squad, now our Emergency Management Building, that will open on October 4th, Monday, for adult services, and children's and teen services will continue to be offered at the Hilton branch. Last week, we related to the flood, we had an all hands on deck meeting to discuss the flood and the future impacts of climate change on the library. Based on that, and want to give a lot of credit to our engineer, Paul Kittner, and assistant engineer Hussam Zaidan, and our building official, Len Mendola. We are making significant changes to the design of the building. We're moving the electrical services and mechanicals out of the basement. It's going to add about 2 months to the front end of the project to do some redesigning. But we think that that's the right thing to do. Next, I just want to announce that our Maplewood Affordable Housing Homeownership Program, we've closed on the sale of our first home to an eligible family. And we're meeting tomorrow with the Essex County Housing Division to discuss possibilities of doing a joint program with them as we embark on looking for our second home to renovate and sell. And if we can do this, we might even have more than 2 homes to offer. And lastly, just an update from our emergency management team. The county has announced that FEMA has set up an office at the Kmart in West Orange. And if we can get that, Ms. Barnett, get that information from the county and put it out there. You don't need an appointment. Residents and businesses can go up there and file their claims. Sears will be opening again for booster shots and first shots, so that once the clearance occurs for the Pfizer of 65 and older, that will start up at Sears. They're already, I think, working on those who have health issues, but then we'll be seeing a bigger push once Pfizer starts and Moderna, and then there's also a discussion of a second shot for J&J. So the good news is that people are familiar with Sears and we'll be able to send them back up there. And lastly, on this Friday morning, we're meeting, our emergency management team is meeting to discuss extending into 2022 our business support resolutions that we adopted in 2020. We think that there still is a need to support our business community, and we're going to be discussing that on Friday morning. And that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuca. We'll now hear from Mr. Limbrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have just one item, and this is from passing on something from our police department. Our chief says that we are very much in need of crossing guards. So if anyone out there is interested in being a crossing guard or knows someone who is looking for a part-time job opportunity and may want to have a great opportunity interacting with our youth and their parents for a few hours a day, we are very much looking for crossing guards. The pay rate is $16.80 an hour. Crossing guards work a minimum of 3 hours per day. The hours vary, but they're usually about an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon, sometimes a little bit longer. Interested parties can pick up an employment application at police department headquarters on Springfield Avenue or at maplewoodpd.org. So you can either go and pick it up in person at police headquarters at 1618 Springfield Avenue, or go to the police department's website at maplewoodpd.org. Please become a crossing guard or reach out to anyone you know who needs a part-time job, and we need crossing guards to help keep our kids safe. Mr. Mayor, that's my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Limbrick. We'll now hear from Mr. Daffis.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo Mr. Lembrick's call for crossing guards. Become a crossing guard. It's a good gig. just a few hours a day. It keeps you out and about, active, and with youth. Both of these things keep you young and healthy. So become a crossing guard. I'm delighted to announce that Greenway Market of Maplewood, this is the market that's coming in, full service supermarket coming in to replace former King's. They will have a grand opening on October 23rd, folks. We're really excited about this. It's going to be a huge event on Maplewood Avenue, a community event, food, activities, kids, fun things. It's going to be free and open to the public, and we will be getting flyers out about that shortly. We're really, really excited and pleased that Greenway Market will be opening its doors to our community on the 23rd of October. And right on schedule, by the way. The mayor will fill in a little bit more in terms of details in his report, but after a summer break, our master plan steering committee met last week. We're getting closer to formulating our RFP, and we will be getting that out soon. And then the next step will be shortly thereafter to start planning lots of community engagement, which I will be leading. So I'm really excited to get out there and to talk to people about a lot of important issues that go into our master plan. Our Department of Health, couple updates there. Mr. DeLuca already informed the public about upcoming boosters that the county is going to be administering, again, as they did with the vaccine the first and second time around. So we're excited about that. Everyone is familiar with the process. So that's going to be great. As soon as we get the green light, we will advise folks and put out all the necessary information on our website and by township email. By township blast earlier this afternoon, our Department of Health alerted the public, the community at large, that we have adopted the updated quarantine policy that the CDC is currently recommending, from the 14-day required quarantine to the 7 to 10-day recommendation. This now means that our community policy aligns with what the school district is doing. Please be advised that this is subject to change. I hope it doesn't change. If it changes, it means that our transmissions are going up. We are currently at the moderate level in terms of transmissions. We will be closely monitoring that. The next level up is high. If we get back up to high, then obviously the suggested and recommended quarantine is going to go back to 14 days. There's been a lot of acrimony out there from parents about this past week as kids return to school. We ask people to be patient. We invite, we celebrate, we encourage advocacy, but we do not do that for disrespect. Please do not call our health officers, who are literally working around the clock and trying to protect you and all of us, and berate them. Please don't leave them nasty emails and messages, and please don't come to town hall in a confrontational manner. We care about you and your children, but we're not going to get through this like that, with that kind of conduct. I have to go on record about this. We've had a couple of incidents in the past couple of days that have actually caused our health care team to worry about their safety. That's ridiculous, okay? Let's focus on beating the virus, not each other. Senior Advisory Committee. A lot of good things happening from our Senior Advisory Committee, which has been very active. One of the things that we will be rolling out soon is a very cool campaign. It's going to be called the Pedestrian Walking Campaign. It's an audit of our sidewalks and our streets. This is something that South Orange did a couple of years back to great success, and we will be adopting their methodology here in Maplewood. We will be coordinating with our police department to get some data on pedestrian-related accidents in town. We will be coordinating with our Public Works and Engineer department to get data about locations in town that residents have already alerted us about with structural issues such as inadequate lighting, line of sight, and so on. And then everybody is gonna take the handout, take the checklist either on paper or on their phone and walk about, and it's gonna be a fun event. We're gonna do it all in one day. And we're gonna encourage people to go out there and walk our town. The weather is great as fall comes. And we can identify some issues that will better inform our efforts to continue enhancing the pedestrian safety in our town. Walkability is sustainability and health and wellness. Local Assistance Board, let's talk about social services. I haven't reported from that board in quite some time. I'd like to report that we were able to assist 16 families during the pool season through our Pool Pals Fund. And we currently have just a little bit over $2,500 in there. Assisting others with access to the pool, one of our greatest recreational opportunities and activities in our town during the summer months, is something that is absolutely terrific for those of you out there who can help us with doing so. So we need your donations to increase our pool subsidy. You can do so on our website under the Recreation tab. Our rec desk has a link that will allow you to donate. Similarly, our Maplewood Cares General Assistance Fund, which has been very helpful, especially recently as we all clean up and recover from Ida, in helping people with housing, temporary housing, and other cleanup efforts and support. That's somewhere around $6,000 right now, $6,400 or so. And anything that we can do out there to increase those charity donations would be great. And you can find information about that on our township website or reach out to social services in town for that information. The Community Board on Police, this evening we just passed a new ordinance, an amendment to our existing ordinance, which allows the Community Board on Police to create and manage a subcommittee, a civilian review board subcommittee that will have the opportunity to investigate internal affairs matters after the investigation has concluded and make recommendations to the police and to the township for necessary reforms and changes. Our open call for the 2 open seats that we have on the board closed last Friday, and we are gathering those resumes that we received in the past month or so, and we will be scheduling interviews and hopefully appointing the 2 new members in the second township committee meeting in October. So that'll put us in a good position. Mr. Jimes reported about the social worker that we hope to hire soon, who will liaise with Department of Health and our first responders in a crisis intervention model, and with our police department, obviously. And Ms. Fritzen, as she always does, keeping on top of things, she already announced about early voting in New Jersey. Very exciting, 9 days of early voting, folks. No excuse not to vote. From October 23rd through October 31st, you can vote in person at any of the 10 sites. We will have that information up for you soon. You can gather that information on the county's website, EssexClerk.com. You can get your mail-in ballot if you want to vote by mail. Those ballots did go out. I know I saw mine in the mail a couple days ago, but if you haven't seen yours, you can go on the website and get it downloaded and vote by mail if you're not going to be voting in person. And that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daffis. I'll just have a few items. I just wanted to recognize again our DPW team. Michelle and the team worked tirelessly with the bulk pickup. And between a bulk pickup and the bulk drop off, They worked 9 days straight and hit every section of town twice. And I just really want to recognize the work they did, because they obviously were part of the first responders during Ida and shortly after, but their work continued basically for 18 days straight if you add in Ida to September 18th. So just a really a shout out to all the work that our DPW team did to help with the cleanup of that tropical storm disaster. Really brief master plan, as Mr. Daff has communicated. We met last week, a very good conversation. Outline is almost flushed out. We're getting some input from some key stakeholders, and we'll have the RFP out the door by the end of next month. There's a couple of things coming up. One thing coming up, Achieve 5K, virtual in person, is this Saturday. Wonderful program, supports our young people in our community. So I just wanted to give that shout out. And then finally, you know, a lot of us as Township Committee members get a lot of correspondences, emails, social media, IMs. But, you know, it's nice every once in a while when we get something positive. And as Mr. DeLuca communicated, our affordable housing, you know, we were able to help a family, you know, find a home in Maplewood. And the family sent a note, and I'm just going to share a part of it and put it in a record, because I think it's important. And it's something that I think we should recognize sometimes, you know, the good with all the other stuff that we do. And the note is as follows. We thank you all for everything you've done for us as we are safe and sound in our new home in Maplewood, New Jersey. We are enjoying the safety and quiet of the neighborhood, meeting some nice neighbors and trying to adapt to our new environment. I wanted to let you all know the fruits of your labors will flourish and encourage you in further efforts. I will not forget what you've done for us, and I hope to live our lives accordingly, grateful for the blessings we've received in appreciation. So I just wanted to say that. So that was a very special note. So with that, that concludes my report, and we'll now move on to agenda item number 14, because we're going to skip 13 because there's no discussion items. So I'll take a motion to move the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move adoption of items 1 through 13 on the consent agenda, including resolutions 274-21 through 285-21, and approval of the closed session minutes from September 9, 2021.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Fritzen, please call the roll.
Adams,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
Mayor McGee.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Fritzen. We're now on agenda item number 15, comment on any subject matter limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Waltz, I yield the floor to you.
Good evening again, Mayor and Township Committee. We will now begin the second public comment portion of the meeting on any subject matter. If any meeting attendee would like to address the Township Committee, please use the raise your hand function. We will convert you to a panelist and allow you 3 minutes to speak. Would anybody like to address the Township Committee? I see no one, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Waltz. Hearing none, we will close our second public comment. And now we're on agenda item number 16, which is adjournment. I'll take a motion.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.